I'm on the run, I've got no alibi.
Hey, welcome everybody to another video. Look, we're going to talk about some things on this video that are very, very alarming. They're about to be put in or already put into place. Millions and millions of Americans that are about to face death, sickness, and all types of bodily injury. And no one in the media is alarmed by it. I shouldn't say no one, but the mass media. And they're all concerned with things like this.
Why is the American military shooting something out of the sky over Canada?
Because it's part of NORAD. The NORAD is part of it's a what you call a coalition, a consortium,
a pact of nations.
A pact,
okay.
Exactly. And so that's why we were able to do that. Again, we didn't do it on our own. We did it clearly in step with Canada.
So you can see that I'll talk about this on another video, and it should be placed up here somewhere. We're not talking about government shooting down alien planes. Listen, real quick, when you see the multitude of media, whether it's print or visual media, then they're all on the same path, talking about the same thing. There's a red flag to you. Now listen. None of this is conspiracy. None of this is out there, red tinfoil hat wearing, type of things. They say a difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months. All these conspiracy theories that we've heard ever since since JFK and before that, are all coming to pass. So there's no such thing as a conspiracy theory when it has to do with the United States government. None. Okay, so we're going to bypass the whole UFO invasion, shooting them down, UFO technology. I don't know any of that at this point, but our fighter jets, if there is such a thing as UFOs, they got here from another planet. Our technology does not compete with them. So we've seen instantly the United States government come out and show a video of the fighter jet shooting the balloon down, whether it was from China or a distraction, but they haven't showed these other three sightings or shooting down of these type of UFOs, right? So take it for what it's worth. But anyways, we're going to get to something more diabolical, and I don't think it's necessarily instituted by the United States government. It might be an accident. And what they did, though, now, if you research back during the Obama administration, they had a derailment of chemicals in New Jersey, and they wanted to put an end to it, silence it, type of thing. And Obama put some things into place for his transportation industry. And that leads us up to today when within the last week, this train derailment, and it was blown up by the U.S. government or whoever's in charge of that, Bittinger, transportation industry, that had to get approval to do this. Anyways, what I'm saying, there are people out there that are more experienced with chemicals and these type of things. So let's listen to one, and you can actually glean from him the information that what's going on with this train derailment. Let's watch this.
This hasn't been getting a lot of coverage, and the coverage that it has been getting hasn't been very good. So let's talk about the trail derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. East Palestine's about an hour north of Pittsburgh, almost halfway to Cleveland. Norfolk Southern has a rail line that goes right through town, and this derailment happened right on the edge outside of town on the border of PA and Ohio. Of the cars that crashed, 5 of them contained vinyl chloride. It's a monomer used to make PVC. Some of the reporting on this has gotten vinyl chloride confused with polyvinyl chloride, the polymer made out of vinyl chloride. Now, the reason that this distinction is really important is vinyl chloride is very hazardous and very flammable. Polyvinyl chloride is a plastics that's used in like everything. The other thing about vinyl chloride is that it boils at 8 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's shipped in its liquid form. Meaning that when these trains crashed and these started leaking, they weren't just leaking liquid, but they were spewing boiling gas. So vinyl chloride is really toxic. OSHA has the permissible limit of how much you can be exposed to it during an 8-hour shift as a 1 ppm part per million. average over 8 hours. So prior to this, the biggest spill of this chemical was in New Jersey, where one train car and about 23,000 gallons of vinyl chloride were spilled, but it didn't catch on fire. Now, this crash in Ohio has 5 train cars. These kinds of tanker cars can carry between 25 and 33,000 gallons. Let's call it 250 to 250,000 pounds of vinyl chloride. That's per train car, 5 train cars. There's maybe 1 million pounds of this toxic chemical spilling into the ground and also boiling off into the air. But then it caught on fire. I think this is where the reporting is really bad, because no one is mentioning what the byproduct of vinyl chloride burning is. Of the many byproducts of burning vinyl chloride, one of them is hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen chloride is really unstable and latches onto water, like just water vapor in the atmosphere, and that turns into hydrochloric acid. So right now, government officials from the railroad, both the governor of Pennsylvania and Ohio, are calling burning off the 1 million pounds of this stuff a success, but not mentioning that it means that we have hundreds of thousands of pounds of acid in the air, potentially. Now, ever since engineering school, I've studied a lot of industrial accidents. I just find it really fascinating, and organizations like the Chemical Safety Board, NTSB, and OSHA all have like really good reports available to the public. I think as a designer, it's really good to learn about mistakes. When looking at these kinds of industrial disasters across time, there are a couple things that are pretty universal across all of them. One, the responsible party, in this case, Norfolk Southern Railway, always plays down the reality of the situation. Politicians also just repeat the same lines, and then news outlets just repeat the same. So all we're hearing is the responsible party's word.
Okay, so you can actually see, now listen, we're not done here. Okay, we're not done here. So you can actually see from someone that's experienced in researching derailments and this type of thing that this is an issue. Okay, so let's jump into a few more things with this derailment that are concerning. Now you can see here some of the actual photographs that were taken from this derailment, this actual fires and the cloud plume, the amount of area that this had covered. Now, this pictures, this derailment, this fire, this releasing into the atmosphere, not only affects what we get, like that gentleman said, that it attaches itself to water particles. So whether it's snow or rain into streams or rivers. Now, there's one report that the governor of West Virginia said this had spilled into the Ohio River. That's gonna, now this stuff, anything that moisture particles are attached to, get on your vehicle. It's acid, right? It gets on your clothing, your pets. Let's look at this video with a gentleman that takes care of animals, foxes in the wilderness. Okay, let's check this out.
Suffering and getting sick, some even dying. And it's not just causing problems for the animals, it's also causing problems for their owners as well. Taylor Holzer and his family run Parker Dairy. It's just outside East Palestine's original evacuation zone. Taylor is an ODNR registered fox keeper. A couple of his foxes broke their legs trying to run after the initial derailment. One of his foxes even died.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down, and he had liquid diarrhea and just went very fast.
Taylor tells me all of his foxes have been sick and acting different since the weekend. Some have abnormally puffy faces, including the one he's holding. He says they are not eating properly. Many are dealing with stomach issues and are acting lethargic.
So as you can see, this is going to affect wildlife, birds, animals of every sort, right? And now we can see a video that it's affecting the fish. It's got into the water supply, and, you know, millions of fish are dying.
But I think it's important for people to see the dead fish. I'm going to walk under the bridge here above and show you. Coming right up, another fish. There's hundreds of them up here in this area across here. Hundreds.
Okay, so you can actually see the actual explosion. Now, from the reports I've heard, was detonated to burn up. So I guess they'd rather have it burn up than spill into the groundwater, which, from what I understand at this point, and things are still out there, probably take a few more days or weeks to get the full understanding how. Yeah. So here's the actual explosion or detonation, if you want to call it that. You can see it's. I mean, look at it. The house is so nearby this. I mean, the actual. Now they only evacuated this area. Obviously, it's too late, right? I mean, if you're within miles. Now this is going to filter east, right? And all, the eastern seaboard, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, maybe some parts of Michigan, but it's going to get into the Great Lakes, spill into every river as it gets into the clouds and dissipates that way, latching itself on to, like the gentleman said, onto water particles. I mean, it could go into the ocean. It gets that far, obviously going that high into the atmosphere. It'll probably, but you ever see volcanoes, they drift further, hundreds and hundreds of miles from where they actually, maybe even thousands of miles, like Mount St. Helens did years ago, where it affected every part of the United States. So we're talking hundreds, thousands of miles, and then as that water particles fall from the sky, it latches itself onto everything that's not clean. We've heard that there's a report out there that a reporter was arrested. He was arrested because he was filming when the governor told him to be quiet. Now, he's doing what reporters do. They're getting their information and they're giving it to the American people, right? So you're actually blocking him from doing his job. I think what happened in this video is the governor told everybody to be quiet while he's talking. This gentleman in the back kept talking. Instead of him ushered out or just silent, say, listen, dude, respect that you can ask later questions or whatever. They actually arrested him for doing his job. So let's look at that video.
There was that dangerous train derailment just last week. Take a look at this. Our correspondent, Evan Lambert, had been in the middle of his report. He actually had to stop his report live on air because the governor had started speaking and they told reporters apparently to be quiet. So we had to stop his live report. Well, moments later, he was thrown to the ground by authorities, roughed up. He is handcuffed and arrested. As you're looking at this video now, you can see them speaking to him. But look, there he is. That's our reporter, Evan Lambert. He is on the ground. He is being put into handcuffs, and now they are taking him out.
Being hushed. I mean, this is not making national news. We're looking at aliens or whatever else. I mean, I think they're being distracted between the Super Bowl and the aliens, and then we're not getting this. So this is going to be a major story from here on out through the years as people are getting infected. Whatever their eyes are breathing in, maybe it can affect smaller children, adults that are sickly already, the elderly. This is going to be, I mean, all the things from acid rain. I mean, we'd heard that in the 70s, right? In the 80s, acid rain. But this is actually acid rain. So, man, I'm telling you, we're going to see some major stuff coming out of this. And they're downplaying it like they do everything else. And why they are, I have no idea. This is probably a bigger story. And they're being told to hush about it, right? I'll pick up this on a later date. I think it needs to be looked into further. So I appreciate you guys watching this video all the way through. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. Give me a like and share it with your friends. Share it on your social media. I appreciate that. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video. Bye now.